Life is lived in phases. Life is also lived in stages. The phases and stages of life are very similar to the phases of the day, which are morning, afternoon, evening, and night. The activities of life are also very similar to the activities of the day. For instance, all things being equal, people wake up from sleep in the morning, prepare for the activities of the day, and go to work. In the afternoon, they are expected to be very busy with productive activities at their places of work. But in the evening, workers who live on wages or daily remunerations collect the payment for the jobs they did for the day and find their ways to their houses. In other words, they harvest the fruits of their efforts for the day in the evening. But workers who live on monthly remunerations go back to their houses in the evening after investing their labors with the expectation that the reward will be due for harvest at the end of the month. When they get to their houses, they take their dinner, refresh their bodies, and end the day with night sleep. This is not different from our experiences in life as captured in what I call the life quadrants, because the concept captures the phases and stages of life from birth to death. In my philosophy of success, I consider an in-depth understanding of the life quadrants as the most important point of departure in the journey to success in every aspect of life, especially in one's finances. I developed the concept of life quadrants in my first book on money, which I titled Roadmap to Financial Security: How to Become Rich and Remain Rich. The book is the second publication in my book series after Pathway to Success. The life quadrants have 4 phases or stages, like the phases of the day. I refer to them as the phases of life. They can also be referred to as the stages of life. The phases or stages of life, as captured in the life quadrants, are as follows. 1. The first quadrant. The first quadrant is the morning of life. It begins from birth but ends at the age of 25. Within this season of life, a great deal of time, energy, and resources are committed towards the acquisition of knowledge and skills that are required for excelling in life. For instance, it is within this quadrant that everyone learns how to speak, eat, work, and so on. It is very important to note that most people's formal educational training starts and ends within this quadrant. This is the reason I call this quadrant the period of preparation. There is no doubt that this season of life is dominated by preparations for achieving and accomplishing success in life. It is also a period of financial dependence because everyone steps out in life in this phase as financially dependent. Most people who earn in this quadrant earn very little because they are young in the labor market. During the first quadrant of life, a child is prepared for his mission, assignments, and destiny in life. To a very large extent, how successful a child will be in life is determined by the quality of the training and preparations he receives in this quadrant from his family, school, place of worship, and the society at large. The reason is that the training shapes his behavior and future. The activities in the life of a child within this season of life determines or influences the future of the child. The second quadrant is the afternoon of life. It begins at the age of 26 but ends at the age of 50. Within this quadrant, People are naturally at the peak of their physical and mental productive strengths. Most of the remarkable successes, achievements, and accomplishments that are recorded in life usually occur within this season of life. This is the reason I call this quadrant the period of peak production. This season of life is very delicate because it ought to be the time of peak productivity and accomplishments for every human being. Within this quadrant, people define how the rest of their life will be. It is very instructive to note that anyone who is unable to find his feet in life within this quadrant never finds them till death. Perhaps this is the reason it is said that a fool at 40 is a fool forever. People should endeavor to make optimal returns from their efforts and also manage their incomes very effectively within these quadrants. Though most people are financially free in these quadrants, they start losing their financial freedom as their productive capacities start depreciating. The third quadrant is the evening of life. It begins at the age of 51 but ends at the age of 75. Within this quadrant, physical productive strength starts depreciating. As a result, people become unable to remain as active and productive as they used to be. Consequently, they can no longer do the things they used to do before, especially work. One of the inevitable effects of this is that the incomes of people who earn only when they work starts depreciating. Within the third quadrant of life, many seeds that were sown during the earlier years, especially in family life, relationships, career, and business, are expected to be due for harvest. This is the reason I refer to this season of life as the season of harvest. For instance, in your family life, some, if not all your children, should become responsible, educated, and gainfully employed adults who are ripe for marriage when you are within this quadrant. Consequently, in addition to becoming assets to themselves, you and your family, as well as humanity at large, your children should also be matriculating into their matrimonial homes. As a result, your sons and daughters-in-law, as well as your grandchildren, will also start arriving while you are enjoying this quadrant. In addition, if you are an employee, you are expected to have been promoted to a high position by your employer. But if you are an entrepreneur, you are expected to have grown your business to enjoy significant returns from it. If your earlier years were properly planned, you will start enjoying the dividends of your past efforts in these quadrants. But if your earlier years were not properly planned, financial hardship will surely set in because of your decreasing earning ability through physical work. It is very instructive to note that the fact that physical productive capacity starts depreciating in this quadrant does not necessarily imply that income should also start depreciating. But this will be inevitable if you earn with only physical work. This is the reason you should be able to earn without working for money within this quadrant. The fourth quadrant is the night of life. This is the last quadrant of life. It begins at the age of 76 but lasts till the rest of your life. Within this season of life, you are expected to have accomplished your mission on earth. Within this quadrant, you are also expected to spend more of your time resting, relaxing, and enjoying your accomplishments in life while awaiting your transition to the next life. This is the reason I call this quadrant the period of rest. Within this quadrant, you are not expected to still be working hard to meet your basic needs, because your achievements of the previous years of your life should be able to take care of you. If, however, you acquired little or no achievements and investments during your active, working, and productive years, this season of life will unarguably be the most difficult stage of your life. It may be worse if you live in a country like mine where the government has no welfare program for the aged. You are expected to start preparing and investing for this quadrant of life from the second quadrant when you are very active and productive. It is very imperative to remark that the classifications in the life quadrants above do not perfectly reflect human experience in any part of the world. Nevertheless, the life quadrants provide very useful, helpful, and reliable guides for accessing, ascertaining, and measuring progress all through life. In addition, the life quadrants also provide very useful and reliable guides for planning in life. There are very important life lessons that should be learned from my analysis of the life quadrants above. Perhaps the most important lesson from the life quadrant is that you will not always have enough physical and mental strength to work for money. You would have observed that most people who are financially free are in the second and third quadrants of life because they have enough physical and mental strength to work. You would also have observed that most people lose their financial freedom when they become retirees. Do you know that over 95% of the people in the fourth quadrant are poor, broke, and financially dependent? But do you know that over 90% of the people who are in the second and third quadrants will also retire poor? Your ability to remain financially free in the last quadrant of life is not necessarily determined by your income during your active years alone, but by how well the income is used. This is the reason many high-income earners retire poor. You should design your life in a way that you can make money without working for money, especially when you advance in age. You achieve this most noble financial goal by acquiring sufficient investments that will fund your expenses when you matriculate into the fourth quadrant of life. If you are in the first or second quadrants, then you are very fortunate to be watching this video because you have enough time to work very hard to ensure the fourth quadrant of your life from poverty and financial struggles. Another important lesson from the analysis of the life quadrants in this video is that there are some activities that ought to accompany every stage of life. Besides, the activities of every stage of life affect or determine the activities of the subsequent stage or stages. For instance, your future may be in danger if you are still preparing for your mission in life while you are in the second quadrant. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you should click the subscription link below if you like watching inspirational and educative videos and you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel. You should also turn on the notification bell so that you will be informed whenever a new video is published in this channel. I hope to meet you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.